Welcome, everyone. You've reached Grandma Mo, and we're covering the WNBA. And this was quite a game. We had the Minnesota Lynx taking on the Fever in Indiana, and with everything that Indiana's had to go through, they've had a number of injuries and players that needed to be replaced, and not that they're alone in that, but they've had their fair share of especially guards. I mean, fortunately, Kelsey Mitchell has been healthy the whole season for them. But just one guard after another coming in. And, that's tough to overcome. So the Fever started off great. Lexie Hull was hitting everything. Her and then Shea Petty, who they just picked up, she hit 3 threes in the second quarter. Kelsey Mitchell was doing her thing. She hit a few. Overall, they were playing really well. They had a lead. And then Minnesota kind of was like, okay, enough of this. And boy, Jessica Shepard, what a game. She had a triple-double. I don't know if that's the first time she's ever had one, but boy, she's picking up where Fee left off. And I hate to see what they're going to be like when Fee comes back. But then all of a sudden, in the second half, Minnesota started hitting their threes. The shooting percentages in this game, I was looking at the stats, were incredible. Just both teams shot really, really well. Like Jessica Shepard was, I think, 10 for 11 or 11 for 12. Just amazing. Kayla McBride was, I think, like 60% from the floor. Just crazy numbers. Crazy numbers. So Minnesota gets the win. They had built a lead in the third and into the fourth, but then Indiana came back and brought it all the way. I think it was like a 13-point lead. Indiana brought it all the way down to 5 with, 2 minutes left? Maybe 2 to 1 minute left. But, this is why Minnesota's the number one team in the league. Even though the Fever got that close, they made the clutch hoops when they needed them to keep the Fever at bay. So the quarterly scoring, you had the Fever, like I said, up 27-22 at the end of the first. Then Minnesota outscored them 28-25. So the Fever still had a little bit of a lead. But the third quarter, Minnesota just put their foot down and 32-17. And then Indiana made their comeback, 21-13. But they came up short, 95-90. So Minnesota is now 29-7, and Indiana drops to 19-17. Points in the paint, Minnesota was a little higher, 46-38. Second chance points were even. Minnesota had a 14-point lead. That was their biggest lead. And Indiana had a 12-point lead in the first half. Turnovers were even. Points off turnovers were pretty close. Let's see. Minnesota had 8 steals and 8 turnovers. And the Fever had 5 steals and 13 turnovers. But the shooting percentages, Minnesota shot 55% from the floor. Yeah, Jessica Shepard was 10 for 11. And then Kayla McBride was 10 for 19, which is 52%. And she was 4 for 8 from 3. And then Alana Smith was also 50%. She was 2 for 4. She hit some late ones in the third and fourth quarter. But Jessica Shepard had 22 points, 10 assists, and 11 rebounds. Just a phenomenal game from her. She was just... The only place she did bad was the foul line. She was only 2 for 6 from the foul line. Minnesota shot bad from the foul line. They were 10 for 17. And they were 42% from 3. The Fever were 54%, which was just a little under Minnesota. And they shot 65% from 3. Made 13 threes. But the Fever also missed some foul shots. They were 69%. So they were a little better than Minnesota. Minnesota out-rebounded them 30-24. And that was that's pretty much it for the team stuff. Minnesota was led by Kayla McBride and Jessica Shepard. And it's weird, watching the game, McBride, she just kind of, just scores, and you don't necessarily, you notice her threes, but she's just kind of moseying along, and 29 points. She had 29 points. She had 6 assists, 2 rebounds, 2 steals, and a turnover. Jessica Shepard, you noticed Jessica Shepard's points, because hers were, tough inside points. 22 points for her. You had Carlton with 7, Alana Smith with 8. She had 5 assists and 3 rebounds. She got a block. That was the only block for Minnesota. Courtney Williams, I think they gave Courtney Williams a break. She's been struggling a little bit shooting, and I think they just thought, you know what, we're just going to let her play a little bit, and then, put her on the bench for this game. She only scored 2 points. She had a turnover and assist, 4 rebounds. She was 1 for 5, and she didn't hit a 3. She took 2 of them. Carrington, 4 points. She had a steal, 2 turnovers, 2 assists. She was 2 for 4. Heidemann, 17 points. She made a clutch 3 for them. She was 2 for 2 from 3 and 3 for 3 from the foul line, and 6 for 10 overall. So you have Heidemann shooting 60%, Carrington 50%, McBride 52%, Shepard 90%, Alana Smith 50%, and Carlton 42%. Those are your and Kundalakova shot 50% too. She ended up scoring 6 points and 2 steals and 3 rebounds for her and 1 assist. On the Fever side, they had 4 players in double figures. Lexie Hull, good game for Lexie. She was hitting those threes, but you know what? It stopped in the second half. She was hustling. I forget when it was. I think it was like the end of the third quarter. She had a sequence of plays where I think she was guarding someone. They scored. She hustled all the way down the court, stole the ball, then got knocked over, and then hit a 3. It was a crazy sequence of events. She was like flying around like a pinball machine. But she was real aggressive in this game. I wish that she would play like that more often. But she was 4 for 7 from 3, 9 for 16 overall, which is 56%. That's a great shooting percentage. She 2 steals, 1 turnover, 2 assists, and 4 rebounds. And just, Charlie hustle. Howard had 8 points. She was 3 for 6. 4 rebounds, 1 assist, 3 turnovers for her. Aaliyah Boston had 15 points. She got quite a few right in the end of the game there. She had 6 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 turnovers, 2 steals. She was 7 for 9. Kelsey Mitchell was 9 for 20, which is 45%. She was 5 for 7 from 3, which is 71%, which is fantastic. She was 4 for 6 from the line. She had 5 assists, 27 points for her. Odyssey Sims had 4 points. Shea Petty, she hit those 3 threes, and then she got a foul shot. 10 points for her. Brianna Turner didn't score. She had 5 rebounds and 4 assists. Dantas hit a 3, and that was it. That was it for Indiana. So Indiana is still in the same position in the standings because the Valkyries ended up losing to Phoenix. So this is the remaining part of the season. It's going to be interesting to see who gets those last 3 spots because I looked at the schedule. Everybody's playing everybody else. So unless one team loses every game or a lot of their games, or one team wins a lot of their games, like beats these other teams. But it's a lot. The Sparks are playing Vegas. They're playing Minnesota. The Valkyries are playing Minnesota, New York. But they're also playing Washington. We have one more game. They have one more game with Indiana. You know, a lot could come down to that Indiana game on the 31st between the Valkyries and the Fever. The Fever have a brutal schedule coming up. It'd be, if they survive and stay in the playoffs, I'd be very surprised. But we'll see. You know, they fight like crazy, so and it's all up for grabs. I think the Mystics are out of it. I mean, they're not technically out of it, but it's going to come down to the Fever, the Valkyries, the Storm, and the Sparks. But they're all playing each other, and they're all playing. Every team in that bunch is playing teams on the top end of the spectrum. So it'll be interesting to see who comes out of that. Okay, well, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.